Hey crew, I've got the key to this 24 Toyota Supra manual 45th anniversary edition. And today we're gonna see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the Supra parked right there at the edge, sitting next to a new Mercedes-Benz GLB 250 that my wife is reviewing. If you wanna check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. She's got that one parked just a couple inches in from the edge. And these being two smaller vehicles, there is ample room to walk between them. Both have also power folding door mirrors. We could get a wagon or double stroller through for our kiddos too. The nose of the Supra hovering just right into the gutter at the front of my driveway. And that leaves so much space at the back to walk in front of the hedge to my front door. When first hopping inside with the key fob in my pocket, putting my hand on the door handle unlocks the doors and unfolds those door mirrors. Now, this distancing between the GLB and the Supra is not comparable to what you'd find in a parking lot, but I will show you that later and how far you can open the Supra door. For now, this is ample room to get inside. Swing the leg in over the wide sill, crouch down and duck the head considerably so I don't make contact with this low roof line. Closing that door. Hello, cabin crew. Thanks for joining for this day in the life in the 24 Supra manual. Now, in this video, I want to see if living with this car every single day is all about inconvenience, like getting in and out, or if it's livable, and in fact, more than just livable, if it's enjoyable. Let's start by firing it up. That turbo i6 checking in. Let's go hear the idle from outside the car now. Getting out is actually not as bad as getting in. Oh my gosh. That is such a chill idle. I expected a lot more from this car, especially one painted orange. And speaking of, though the exhaust note is not going to disturb anyone in your neighborhood, your car is not going to blend in with the other vehicles you'll see parked here. So you will get some additional attention, and you should just acknowledge that. Oh, before I squeeze my way back inside, I did want to point out that I do have some curb ramps set up here to at least take on the left tire and help negotiate the clearance issue of the gutter at the front of my driveway. The Supra isn't terribly low, but if you take it at any sort of speed, there might be some scraping of the front end. As I throw on my seatbelts, let me quickly show you where I would put the items I bring with me every day. Like my smartphone, that's on the wireless charging pad. And while I typically have a 32-ounce metal bottle, I couldn't find a cubby for it anywhere inside the front of this cabin. And yeah, I could put it in the trunk, but what good does that do me? So I've got a single-use plastic bottle inside one of the two cup holders. And behind those, I managed to put my sunglasses and wallet inside this little cubby. It's fine for a wallet, really, but because it's plastic lined, it's not great for sunglasses because they can rattle around and scratch the lenses. There just isn't dedicated sunglass storage with like a felt lining elsewhere inside this cabin. That's a bummer. And my GoPro accessories, again, they ran into cubby problems, so I just wedged them behind the front passenger seat. So yeah, the storage could be better inside the Supra, but it's not a big vehicle. So let me release the parking brake, head into first gear, roll on forward, slowly, carefully, dip the tires. And even though it's trash day, I will have no trouble clearing those cans to get out of my neighborhood. But I don't want to go too far before I touch on some basics of daily driving the Supra. Things like the turn signal sound, which, wouldn't you know it, much like the unlock beep of the Supra, the signal sounds just like a BMW. And of course, there's a good reason for that. But that also means it's kind of loud, and I might want to switch it off if I was sitting at a stoplight for a while. Now let's try the turning radius. I'm going to pull over here to the right on this residential street and attempt to make it in one go. Wheel cranked. And I am going to clear it. This is a fantastic turning circle. Now let's say someone cuts you off in the Supra and you need to make him hear about it. What's the sound of the horn? Oh my gosh. No one's gonna take that seriously. And you shouldn't either. This will just be a novelty for you. Hey friends, look what this sounds like. When it comes to ease of driving, the 6-speed manual version of the Supra This is a very intuitive transmission. The clutch, engagement, and release point are simple to feel out when you should apply power. And that power, 382 horses and 368 pound-feet of torque, comes in a very natural, linear way. Even though it's a turbocharged motor, you're not waiting forever for that boost to build. The car just picks up speed easily, but not in an overzealous way, at least not in the normal drive mode. If you go into sport, it's gonna pick up on that throttle response. Working between the gears is great as well because, well, it's simple. The throws are super short and the gates are well enough defined. There's a distinct notch into each gear, so there's no mystery as to whether you're in gear or not. And then beyond that, there's a sensation to the linkage of this transmission that gives you some sense of feel and therefore enjoyment. Even when working at modest speeds around town, you don't have to be hucking this car around a canyon road or on a track to enjoy driving it. I said it's natural to build speed in the Supra. It's natural to decelerate as well. Coming up to a stoplight, it's easy to feel out how much foot force to apply to the brake pedal to smoothly come up to that stop. And if you are at that light for a while, the start-stop system is going to trigger on unless you turn it off here via button. But when you re-engage the gear, the way that engine comes back in is very inconspicuously among the least noticeable of any start-stop system I've experienced. There is one other thing that makes it easy to drive the Supra manual around town, and that is the normal mode's default rev match downshift. So it'll blip the throttle for you as you decelerate, meaning you don't have to heel toe every descension of gears for a smooth stop. As far as ride compliance on a road that is under construction, the stiffly sprung platform of the Supra is kind of what you expect of a sports car. It conveys energy via the way you are jostled over uneven pavement, but the ride compliance from these adaptive dampers is pretty excellent so that you don't fear or aren't worn out by imperfect roads. It isn't a chore to daily drive this car around town, and that's kind of a pleasant surprise. And now it's time for coffee here at Hola Adios. Okay, so far so good. Avoid hitting the head. Yes. And there we go. Decaf cappuccino. Why decaf, you ask? Well, I just don't think any of you are ready for a caffeinated Miles review. It would be scary. It's almost time for me to pick up Mobile Mama so we can get some lunch together, but because it's her birthday, I think I need to make this setting a little more festive. So I think I'll pop in here to Party City. Well, I really hope I didn't bite off more than this car can chew. Here's the strategy. Wait at the bottom and then attempt to corral the balloons into the cabin. Unicorn, you might be the biggest problem, but I think we've got it. At least until I have to try to get in here to, excuse me. Well, I'm not sure this is necessarily safe, but we fit. Collecting Mobile Mama, who is in a dress that matches the car.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Let me get the door for you.
What? A giant unicorn. Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, try to find your way in there.
Oh, happy birthday to me.
Yes, happy birthday indeed.
Okay. Oh, you're not making me wear a hat.
Yes, yes I am. Just a moment, hang on.
Babe. This is a fun date.
This is so good. I love you. Put this on. Birthday princess.
The birthday princess.
There we go. Birthday princess.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, this is
the
terrific.
top.
Yeah, this is terrific.
I feel like a real unicorn.
It's perfect. I actually need you because it's not safe to drive solo. With these, I need you to be able to tell me if someone's there or not.
Oh,
check my blind spots. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Let's go get lunch. All right, Christina, I want to change lanes. Am I clear?
I can't see. We should take these balloons out.
Okay, we shoved a lot of them out the window, but this seems like a short-lived solution. I don't think this is going to be sustainable for our drive to lunch. So we're going to have to drop off the balloons. Oh, that's much better.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a whole lot better with the party hat on, so I may have to move this to the back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well,
I like it.
You do?
Yes.
Good. All right. I was going to say, though, even without the balloons in here, visibility is something of a concern inside the Supra because the high belt line, low roof line, it just creates a big blind spot. So for one, actually to see out over the windshield, I have to duck my head often to see stoplights. And then if I turn my head to the left, I just stare at pillar. And I've got the seat as low as it goes. And this is just about as good as it gets. Whether your head is forward or backward, the headrest is blocking that side window, and so there's just a giant blind spot from here all the way to the back glass, which seeing out of that isn't all that bad, even with the spoiler back there of the 45th anniversary edition. But yeah, I mean, in general, seeing out of the Supra is not the most confidence inspiring. There's going to be a lot of double looking and relying on sensors. But back to the good stuff. Happy birthday, Mobile Mama.
I want to say thank you for making it special.
I tried.
It kind of feels like a little, because we didn't date in high school, but we went to high school together.
Right.
It kind of feels like a high school moment.
Like in high school, if I'd gotten you balloons at lunch and then picked you up after school.
Oh, I would have hated it.
Yeah, she would have. But you know what? Today is different because we've got
But
kids who are going to
it's
love those
different.
balloons at home. Though, of course, if I did have this car in high school, that would be pretty wild.
Whoa.
It's a
I
$65,000
would not
sports
recommend
car.
that.
No, maybe start with GR86 or maybe even something used, like a used FRS or something. Now that you're here and the balloons
Yes.
aren't obscuring your view, what do you think of this cabin? Also, now knowing the price.
Well, I do like the carbon fiber.
Yes.
Is this the only Toyota with carbon fiber on the interior?
On the interior,
Yeah.
it might be.
'Cause I
If
know
you guys know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is because the GR Corolla has the carbon fiber on the roof, the forged carbon roof, but I don't think it has carbon fiber inside.
Right.
But of course, this is a BMW, so
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
I'm noticing a lot of injection molding, which is not my favorite.
Yeah. I like the
but
contrast stitching. That's nice.
yeah, I do like that. And then I like that this is leather right here on the door panel.
The armrest?
Yeah.
The grained leather.
Yes.
Which is a cool look, but I don't think it's as soft feeling as some leathers.
I don't
And that goes for
mind
the
it.
chairs too.
I don't mind it.
You don't mind it?
No, but I like these seats a lot.
They are. They're
They're
comfortable.
comfortable. They hug you in the right spots. And
With the
they're
adjusting
heated.
bolsters. They are
Yeah.
heated. They're not ventilated though. I think for this price they should be ventilated.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah, it's saying you can bring the bolsters in or out depending on your body type. That's good.
Right. But I like that I'm fully extended
You are.
and I'm comfortable.
That's good.
Yeah. I do think that this is just kind of like tacked on there, and I don't really like that. It makes it feel
Yeah.
a little cheap.
Agreed. It could be better integrated with the dash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind having older BMW iDrive software though, because it's really easy to navigate. And not only can you touch the screen, you can use this controller down here for less driver distraction.
Right.
Same goes for the volume knob and other physical media controls and climate controls. It's nice having those redundancies, so you're not having to look down or hunt in a screen while you need to be paying attention to the road. Because safety is first, right? You would
Yes.
never drive with distractions like balloons
Yeah, I was
filling the
gonna
cabin of your car.
Where are we going? I know this area.
Yes, this is Diamond Jamboree.
And I'm like, which one are you choosing?
And I think, I actually don't know where it is. There's somewhere in here with Japanese curry.
No,
that I
that's
want to
back
go-
there.
Okay, no idea where we're going.
Oh, God.
Surprise! For you and for me. I did want to mention one other thing about this interior.
Yes.
And that is that despite the low roof line, I actually have clearance above my head, like at least an inch or so of that. So at 6 feet tall, you can squeeze inside with the seat all the way slammed, and you're
I'm
just
good.
fine.
Yeah.
You're more than good.
Oh.
You are divine.
Oh, wow. Okay, Miles did write me a poem for my birthday.
I did.
It was very, very cute.
Thought you liked it. Okay, backing up.
What was that?
I don't know what that was. There's a high-res camera. It's kind of small. Trajectory lines, though. That helps me get into this parking space. I don't have a surround view, but I do have parking sensors. And it not being a terribly large vehicle, that's kind of all you need. You'll find your way into parking spaces without much effort. And we're here.
Yay.
Let's go get lunch. Here we go. Chicken cutlet curry and delicious naan. Cheers.
Cheers.
To your birthday.
Hey, thank you.
Today I'd like to dabble a bit more into the fun and function of this Supra. I'm going to start with a real-world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here, and the Supra manual doesn't have launch control. So the best way to get to 60 is just gonna be in sport drive mode, not turning traction control off, because I tried that and it just spins the tires. Here I'm gonna go into first, give it some throttle, pull off the clutch, get into second, and we will hit 60 in second in 4.79 seconds. It's quick enough for me to go, whee! Yeah, you could probably get to 60 about a half second quicker if you repeatedly did the runs, but that's not the real world part. Real world, you show up at a stoplight and you're probably gonna get there in mid to high 4-second range. Well, that's enough for me. And the rest of it is pure speed. And it's such accessible speed as well. In the same way this manual is easy to drive around town, the Supra is relatively easy to drive quickly. Even though it makes about 400 horsepower sent to just the rear tires, it doesn't feel like it's constantly on the verge of losing the back end. And that's even if I go here and turn off traction control. I gotta hold this for a few seconds. There it goes. It's still stupendously stable. And with a curb weight a little over 3,000 pounds, it's extremely agile. The gearing's also tall, and that means that I'm not constantly having to shift to carry on at a high rate of velocity. And meanwhile, the boost builds so low that I don't feel the need at all times to downshift to stay in the meat of the thrust. Man, that rear LSD really helps this car slingshot out of curves. And I mentioned that around town, you can use the rev match function, but you can also go into Sport Individual and disable that if you want to do your own heel-toe shifting. Come up, roll the ankle over, blip the throttle, and get on your merry way. The steering is terrific as well. Cornering force just loading up beautifully in the rack to communicate grip and inspire a whole lot of confidence. I'd want to do this all the time. Take the long way home from work, have a detour on the weekends, any excuse, I'd pounce on it. Moving on, in just a second here, I'm gonna hop on the highway and talk about what it's like to commute in the Supra. But before I do that, I was reminded of something a moment ago that I meant to discuss with Mobile Mama in the car, but even without her, it's worth pointing out. And that is that the wind buffeting in the Supra at speeds over, I want to say like 40 miles per hour is pretty absurd. With both windows down, which is typically the cure for the thunderous thump, 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 the reverberation of wind buffeting doesn't do anything to help the Supra. There it is. The turbulent moving air does not have the right passage through this cabin, I suppose. And that means that if you're a guy who likes to, or gal, who likes to drive around windows down, you're gonna need an aftermarket accessory to cut down on that horrible wind buffeting. All right, now we're getting onto the highway, and I'm going to quiet up, and we'll listen to the cabin volume at these speeds, windows up. Here we go. All right, so on the smooth tarmac, there's not much tire noise, but we heard when we went on that louder road surface that there is quite a bit of tire noise that gets in the cabin. Here we go. It's not atrocious, actually. That's really not that bad for a sports car. The wind noise is discernible, but also not terrible. And as you pass by other vehicles like this wide load, there's not a whole lot of that noise that gets inside this cabin. So I think on the right road surface, at highway speeds, you will be able to commute in the Supra in quiet comfort. There is one complication though, and that is of course that you did choose the manual transmission car, and so if you do have a traffic heavy commute, there's gonna be a lot of shifting, a lot of working your foot on the clutch pedal. And in addition to that, you don't have driving assistance features like adaptive cruise control or lane keep assist or steering centering assist. You just have a lane departure warning system that you can turn on and off, and regular old cruise control, which doesn't help in traffic. So yeah, there's just gonna be more work to commute in the Supra, especially with the manual transmission, than some other sports cars, but you kind of know what you're getting into. And at the very least, in addition to it being easy to feel out the clutch engagement and release point around town, in traffic, what have you, it's also not a heavy clutch pedal, so you shouldn't wear out your leg muscles on the way to work. Now, while we are coasting on the highway, we might as well listen to this JBL premium sound system via the wireless Apple CarPlay. Use this dial here to queue up my playlist, and with the physical volume knob, get that to about half volume there. You know what, let's go to 60. More, 70 now. That is not going to be as premium as the name on the JBL sound system might suggest. There's enough volume punch, and I could have gone a little bit further with it, but I feel like I was getting into a place of distortion. The quality of the notes were not there. There definitely wasn't much bass to hit and add to the sound profile, and there just in general wasn't a great balance to that audio system. Not my favorite. Now let's have a small demonstration of the Supra's practicality with a trip here to Sprouts. Okay, Supra, let's see if you're ready for a loaded up mini grocery cart. I'm gonna start by opening up the hatch, which gives me great access to this decent sized trunk. I don't see any grocery bag holders here. I do see the subs of the sound system, and I see Mobile Mama getting into the Lexus GX. She and the girls came to surprise me and helped me load up this shopping cart, so we got plenty of goods here to see if they fit in the Supra trunk. I stand corrected, because these pieces here are for holding grocery bags. So we've got two bags secured from sloshing around, and this one kind of sandwiched in the middle. Hopefully that keeps everything in there. Behind it, we've got water bottles and sparkling water, and still, there's all this extra room in the trunk. I think you could probably even do a Costco run in the Supra. So yes, that does mean, there we go, that the Toyota Supra is grocery approved. Oh, and before I forget, I promised I would show you the door opening space in a normal parking spot next to someone else. So here we go. There is your first defined notch, and I can't go to the second. So this would be the way I'd get in. Even more arduous than normal. You know, something just dawned on me. I've been sitting all day in this cabin, and I haven't needed sunglasses until right about now, because the cave-like interior of the Supra blocks the sun from view up until it's low enough for sunset. Anyway, it's just about time to put some fuel back in this 13.7 gallon tank, and the EPA rates the Supra with the manual at 19 mpg in the city, 27 on the highway, and 21 combined. If I saw 21 combined, then I'd have a fuel range of about 288 miles, though during my time with the car, I've seen a little less, just about 20 combined mpg. And at current fuel prices of $4.95 for 91 octane gas that the Supra does require, it's gonna cost me 68 bucks to fill this tank, and there isn't capless fueling. Gotta work harder. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered if the Supra 3.0 manual was too inconvenient to daily drive. And after quality time spent behind the wheel, I can admit there are a few irksome attributes, but not as many as I expected. But the two biggest annoyances might be deal breakers, depending on your body type and use case. Getting in and out with the smallish door opening and low roof line is a pain for taller folks, and visibility out of the cabin isn't great for just about anybody. The Supra is shy on some conveniences and the tech is a little bit dated, but it's not a glaring problem, there's just enough. Unless you've got a long traffic-heavy commute every day, then you'll really miss those driving aids. But with a compliant ride, easy-to-use manual transmission, spacious trunk, and relative efficiency, you can focus on how entertaining it is to drive this car, and less so on its foibles. As a commuter, I'd pass, but as a second car or a round-towner, the Supra 3.0 manual is a win in my book. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life. I will see you again next time.